My dad used me as a scapegoat to save his job. You'll understand when you're older, he said. I did, when I took his career away. This morning, he called 92 times, begging me to undo what I did. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. I never thought I'd be writing this, but after what happened last night, I need to get this off my chest. It's funny how a random Discord message can turn your whole world upside down. Last night I, 28M, got a message from Carl, one of my dad's coworkers, asking if I was the kid who made the inventory system. At first, I had no idea what he was talking about, but then it hit me. The project I coded when I was 16, the one my dad Luis promised would just be a learning experience. Some background. When I was in high school, I was really into coding. My dad worked at this warehouse, and they were having issues with their inventory tracking. One day, he came home complaining about how everything was still done on paper and Excel sheets, and how they kept losing track of stuff. Being a cocky teenager who had just learned Python, I offered to help. I spent 3 months building this basic but functional inventory management system. Nothing fancy, just a local database, some forms for input, and a basic tracking feature. But it worked. My dad was thrilled when I showed it to him. He promised he'd only use it to demonstrate what could be done to his bosses. I even remember him saying, "This could help me get that supervisor position, son." I was so proud, thinking I was helping him out. Then things got weird. He asked me to remove my comments from the code and delete my name from the documentation. When I asked why, he just said those magic words that would haunt me for years. You'll understand when you're older. I found out through Carl that my dad not only presented the system as his own work, but has been taking credit for it for 12 years. The system I built is still running their entire inventory management. They've had IT contractors updated over the years, but the core is still my code. My dad got promoted to supervisor because of it. Then operations manager, telling everyone he taught himself programming to solve the company's problems. I confronted him last night. I drove to his and Charlene's house, my stepmom, after getting Carl's message. The conversation went exactly how you'd expect. Me, Dad, why is Carl messaging me about the inventory system from high school? What that old thing? Why are you bringing this up now? Because I just found out you've been taking credit for my work for over a decade. He actually laughed. Come on, son. You were a kid playing with computers. I turned it into something useful. Besides, who would have taken a teenager's work seriously? I lost it. Are you kidding me? You built your entire career on something I made. Charlene came in asking what all the noise was about. When I explained, she sided with him. Santiago, honey, you need to understand how the real world works. Your father did what was best for the family. Best for the family? I haven't seen a penny of the bonuses and raises he got from my work. When I was struggling to pay for my certification courses 2 years ago, he told me I needed to learn the value of hard work instead of helping out. The kicker? He had the nerve to say, "You should be grateful. Everything I did for us." What kind of son tries to tear down his father's success? I left before I could say something I'd regret. But I'm done. My girlfriend Becky thinks I should let it go, says it's ancient history. But Carl sent me screenshots of internal emails where my dad takes credit for recent updates to the system. Updates he had nothing to do with. I'm not that scared 16-year-old kid anymore. I've got my own career now, my own life. But watching him smugly sit there knowing he built his success on my work while preaching to me about hard work and earning your way, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm not letting this go. He keeps calling and texting, alternating between threats about destroying family relationships and guilt trips about how I owe him for raising me. Should I just let this go? Am I the asshole for wanting recognition for my work, even after all these years? Because right now, all I can think about is how to make him understand exactly what he took from me. Update 1. First, thanks for all the support on my last post. I wasn't expecting it to blow up like that. After reading your comments, I decided to confront my dad face to face. Big mistake. Or maybe not, because now I know exactly where we stand. I texted him asking to meet at the local diner where we used to have breakfast when I was a kid. Neutral ground, public place, you know the drill. He agreed immediately, probably thinking I wanted to patch things up like I usually do. Not this time. The moment I walked in, I saw him sitting there with Charlene, my stepmom. Great, just what I needed. I should have known he'd bring backup. They were sharing a plate of fries like nothing was wrong in the world. Dad waved me over with that same smug smile he always has, like he's the smartest guy in the room. Santiago, son, come on, sit down. Charlotte insisted on coming when she heard you wanted to talk. He gestured to the booth like he was doing me a favor. I stayed standing. The system you've been taking credit for at work, the one that got you promoted twice, let's talk about that. His face changed instantly. The smile disappeared, replaced by that stern look I remember from childhood. Not here, he said quietly. Yes, here. I want witnesses. I pulled out my old notebooks from my backpack, the ones with all my original code and design documents from when I was 16. Remember these? Charlene looked confused. Luis, what's he talking about? It's nothing, honey. Just a misunderstanding about some old computer stuff. He tried to wave it off. but I wasn't having it. Tell her, Dad. Tell her how you took my high school coding project, presented it as your own work, and built your entire career on it. Tell her about all those bonuses you got for developing and maintaining a system you barely understand. You ungrateful little. He caught himself, glancing around at the other diners. I gave you everything, everything. And this is how you repay me? That system was just a school project until I made it into something real. Made it into something real? You didn't change a single line of code. Carl told me everything. That hit him hard. His face went red. Carl, that backstabbing son of a… Listen here, boy. You were a child. No company would have taken that system seriously if I hadn't stepped in. I did what any father would. Charlene tried to play peacemaker. Santiago, honey, your father only ever wanted what's best for the family. Maybe we can work something out. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Best for the family? Is that what we're calling fraud these days? Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the silverware jump. You watch your mouth. You think you can just walk in here and threaten me? I'm still your father. No, I said, keeping my voice steady. You're just the guy who stole from his kid and justified it as parenting. He stood up, getting in my face. You'll destroy everything I've built. Is that what you want, to ruin your own father? You did that yourself. Every time you took credit for my work, every time you cashed those bonus checks, every time you looked me in the eye and said, you'll understand when you're older. I pulled out my phone, showing him the email I drafted to his HR department. Well, I'm older now, and I understand perfectly. You send that email and you're no longer my son. His voice was shaking. That's funny, I replied, hitting send right there in front of him. I stopped being your son the day you decided being a thief was more important than being a father. Charlene started crying. Dad's face went from red to purple. Get out, he shouted. Get out before I forget you're my blood. Gladly. Oh, and Dad? Check your email. I CC'd you on my message to HR. You know, like a professional would do. I walked out of that diner feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone started blowing up immediately. Texts from Dad, from Charlene, from my Aunt Geraldine, who apparently heard everything from Charlene within minutes. Dad's messages ranged from threats to begging. I'll tell everyone what an ungrateful son you are, followed by, please, we can work this out. The last message I got was from Carl. HR called Luis in. It's starting. I don't know what happens next, but for the first time in my life, I'm not backing down. Dad made his choices. Now he can live with them. Update 2. A lot has happened since my last post about my dad stealing credit for my work. Thanks for all the support and advice. You guys really helped me get my head straight about this whole mess. So I spent the last week gathering everything, every single thing. Old files from my teenage laptop, thank God for external hard drives. Screenshots of conversations, early versions of the code with my comments still in them. I even found my old notebooks where I sketched out the database structure. Everything that proved I wrote that inventory system when I was 16. I was nervous about going to HR, but then my dad did something that made me snap. He called Becky, yeah, my girlfriend, and tried to get her to talk some sense into me because I was acting childish. Told her I was going to ruin the family over some stupid teenage project. That's when I knew I was done playing nice. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. Tuesday morning, I walked into his company and asked for Robin in HR. My hands were shaking when I handed over the folder, but my voice wasn't. The meeting lasted 3 hours. The look on Robin's face when she saw the dates on the original files, I'll never forget it. Then it really hit the fan. Wednesday afternoon, my dad burst into my apartment. He still had a key from when he helped me move. That's changed now. He was screaming about how I was trying to destroy him. How could you do this to your own father? What would people think? Becky was there and recorded some of it on her phone, just in case. He kept switching between threats and begging, saying he'd make it right if I just withdrew my complaint. I just stood there watching him lose it. Told him, now you'll understand when you're older. The look on his face, worth every second of the last 12 years. HR put him on administrative leave Thursday morning. Carl texted me that they're going through every project my dad's overseen in the past decade. Turns out I wasn't the only one he screwed over. Just the only one who could prove it. My Aunt Geraldine called yesterday. She was crying. Turns out Dad pulled similar stuff with her fabric store business years ago. She invested her savings based on his expert business advice that somehow always benefited his contacts. She lost everything and had to move in with her kids. She's been carrying that guilt for years, thinking she was just bad at business. Charlene, my stepmom, isn't speaking to me. She's convinced I'm just being vindictive. Posted this whole rant on Facebook about ungrateful children and family loyalty. Whatever. The screenshot of her post went right to Robin in HR, more evidence of harassment. The family's split down the middle. Half of them are calling me a traitor. The other half are coming forward with their own stories about Dad's business dealings. My cousin told me Dad had promised to get his son a guaranteed internship at his company, for a small consulting fee, of course. Thank God they couldn't afford it. This morning, my dad showed up at my work. Security had to escort him out. He was waving some papers, yelling about how he had proof it was his project. Funny thing is, those proof documents he was waving, they're dated 2010. The original files I gave HR? 2008. Math isn't that hard, Dad. I got a message from the company's IT director. They're offering me a consulting contract to help document and potentially update the system. Turns out nobody really understood how it worked because Dad kept all the documentation in his head. Convenient, right? My phone's been blowing up with messages from relatives. Half of them are telling me I'm destroying the family. The other half are sharing stories about Dad's other schemes. It's like opening a floodgate. My Aunt Geraldine's helping me document everything. Becky's been amazing through all this. She sat with me last night going through old family photos, pointing out how Dad always positioned himself to take credit for everyone else's work. There's this photo from my high school graduation. He's standing in front of my science project, hand on it like he built it himself. Classic Dad. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about everyone he's hurt over the years, hiding behind family while he did it. The company's investigation is still ongoing, but Carl says it's not looking good for Dad. They're finding discrepancies in other projects, places where credit was misassigned, budgets that don't quite add up. I know posting this might give him more ammunition to use against me, but I don't care anymore. I'm done hiding his lies. I'm done being the good son who keeps quiet. I'm done watching him hurt people and walk away smiling. Oh, and Dad, since I know you're probably reading this, remember when you told me life isn't fair, son? Guess what? Sometimes it is. Sometimes karma comes in the form of a folder full of time-stamped code and a son who finally stopped believing your lies. Edit. Thanks for all the support, guys. To answer some common questions, yes, I've kept copies of everything. No, I'm not worried about legal. Acing the proof is pretty solid. And yes, Becky and I are staying somewhere safe for now, just in case. Edit 2. Just got a text from Carl. Dad tried to access the company servers remotely. IT caught it immediately. Meeting with HR again tomorrow. This isn't going to end well for him. TLDR took evidence of my dad stealing my work to his company's HR. Now his whole house of cards is falling apart, and other family members are coming forward with similar stories. Finally, update. I wasn't planning on posting another update, but after this morning, I need to get this off my chest. My phone started buzzing at 5:47 a.m. By 9 a.m., I had 92 missed calls from my dad. The notification screen looked insane, just an endless scroll of his name. He finally got what was coming to him, and now he can't handle it. Quick background for those who haven't read my previous posts. My dad, Luis, used a program I wrote when I was 16 to advance his career, took full credit for it, and got multiple promotions over 12 years. When I confronted him about it, he told me I'd understand when I was older and threatened to trash my reputation if I spoke up. Well, yesterday, everything came crashing down for him. The company's investigation concluded, and they didn't just demote him, they fired him. But that's not even the best part. Remember Carl, my dad's coworker who first tipped me off? Turns out he wasn't the only one who knew the truth. During the investigation, 5 other employees came forward with stories about how my dad had taken credit for their work too. The program I wrote was just the tip of the iceberg. My dad showed up at my apartment last night, pounding on the door and screaming about how I'd destroyed everything he built. Becky, my girlfriend, recorded the whole thing on her phone. He was standing there in his wrinkled dress shirt from work, face red, looking nothing like the confident man who used to tell me, "That's just how business works, son." "Santiago, open this door right now," he kept screaming. "I raised you. I put food on the table. You owe me." I didn't open the door. I just stood there watching through the peephole as the man who'd spent years acting superior to everyone finally lost it. Charlene, my stepmom, called me this morning. Apparently, he came home and trashed their living room, breaking all the framed awards he'd gotten for his innovations at work. Here's where it gets even better. Remember how he always bragged about his consulting network? Well, Carl made sure the whole story spread through the industry. 3 different companies have already pulled out of contracts with him. His carefully built reputation is completely destroyed. All those connections he spent years cultivating, gone. My Aunt Geraldine called to tell me Charlene is leaving him. Apparently, after his meltdown last night, she finally started digging through his work emails. She had access because he used their shared iPad. She found dozens of messages where he'd taken credit for other people's work, manipulated situations to make himself look good, and threw others under the bus. She's staying with Geraldine now. The most satisfying part? That old line he used to shut me up, "You'll understand when you're older," came back to bite him. During his final meeting with HR, he apparently tried to use it again, telling Robin, the HR director, that young people don't understand how business really works. Robin told him that was exactly the kind of attitude that got him fired. My phone is still blowing up, not just with his calls, but with messages from relatives taking sides. Some are saying I went too far, that I should have handled it within the family. But others, like Geraldine, are finally speaking up about how he's manipulated them over the years too. You want to know the craziest part? This morning, between his endless calls, he sent me a long text about how he did it all for me, how every lie he told was to secure our family's future. Classic manipulation. I replied with a screenshot of the email where he threatened to destroy my career if I spoke up. He hasn't called since. I'm not going to lie, part of me feels satisfied. The other part feels lighter, like I finally put down a weight I've been carrying since I was 16. Becky says she's never seen me stand so straight. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. To those who said I should respect my father no matter what, respect is earned, not owed. And to my dad, who's probably going to end up reading this because he obsessively follows everything I do online now. You were right. I do understand now that I'm older. I understand exactly who you are. Edit. Holy, it's not over. Charlene just sent me screenshots of him begging her to talk sense into me. Apparently, he's been driving past my apartment building. Becky and I are staying at a brother's place for a few days, just to be safe. Edit 2. Since people are asking, yes, I'm saving all the messages and recordings. No, I'm not planning to get legal authorities involved unless he escalates further. My building security has his photo now. Edit 3. Stop DMing me about but he's your father. Yes, he is, and he's facing the consequences of his own actions. End of story.